Hello, welcome to Krafting Kitty. My name is Erin and it is Saturday, so it is time for my weekly roundup. What is a weekly roundup? It's basically where we talk about my week in crafting, what I've done, any works in progress, any finished objects, whips and FOs. Also, I've been talking about books I've been reading because I've been trying to make that a priority again. I do enjoy reading and it had slipped to the edges. And at the end, we'll also kind of go through what's to come in the next week on the channel. Okay, so let's dive in. I have 2 finished objects, 1.5, depends on how you count one of the things I have done. So first of all, I am very, very excited. I have finished the unicorn blanket. And after seeing it done, it was decided to have no border. So this is how we're staying. And I've actually woven in the ends and all of that. So here we go. What? It's actually ended up a very, very nice size. I mean, she's 3.5-ish feet tall. So this is very good size. I do think this will be a nice length for her to have. And yeah, she is so excited and she loves how it turned out. And I am thrilled as well. This was a lot of fun. So this was a graph. I was browsing Pinterest and found this and she wanted it. And the Pinterest link took me to Magic Pixel Design. I believe that's the name. I might have the words in the wrong order. And on the website, you can get the graph, and then there's basic instructions for how to use the graph. Basically, you can use single crochet, half double crochet, or C2C. I did half double crochet, and this is the size I got. I used 4-weight yarn. The colors are Premier Basics, and the white is Michael's Craft Smart White. And it turned out very, very lovely. I also used a 5.5mm crochet hook on this. So very nice, very excited to have it done. It always feels good to knock out a project, right? We will talk about my other finished object. If you're in my Facebook group, I shared this as soon as I finished it. I made my first sock. It is complete. I've still got the stitch markers on it for the length because I'm working on the second sock, and this will help me kind of measure for the second sock. But look at how fun it is. And I put it on and it fits reasonably well. It is loose. It's not the fit I would prefer in a sock, but it is not like floppy clown sock, unusable sock for me. So I will be keeping it. We don't have to find the Cinderella, that it will fit. And I mean, really, I quite wanted to keep my very first socks, so I could not think of a better outcome. And this is using the Hobby glitter sock yarn from their Halloween collection. I do not remember, well, I have the ball band. Why am I saying I don't remember the color number? The name was something like Vampire Kiss. It was number 6, color number 6. And yeah, I loved it. So I did realize near the end that I had made an error, and it's probably one reason why the sock is oversized. I followed the Crazy Sock Lady's tutorial for making her vanilla socks on 9-inch circular needles. For some reason, I ignored the initial instructions and looked at the ball band of the yarn, grabbed the recommended US 3 needles it wanted, and started working. Completely ignoring the fact that her tutorial called for a size 1. So I basically used needles that were a full millimeter larger than she intended. So, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to make her small sock or her medium sock. And remembering back to what I had seen from Stephen West, I said, let's start it in the middle. Start medium, it will be my swatch and I'll know which way to move. So here's what my gut tells me. Had I used the size 1 needle, her medium sock would have been perfect for me. My foot is a 7.5/8. I think that would have been absolutely perfect. But using the size 3 that I used, I should have gone down to her small sock. And then I think it would have been just fine. Again, that's my gut. This is the very first sock I've made, but that's kind of based on my years of knitting experience. And yeah, I've learned a lot in 30 some years. Just recently socks. I'm so excited. This is a project I have long wanted to do, and finally getting to it and producing a reasonably sized sock on my first try is amazing. Yes, I am so excited. So I consider this a finished object, but the pair is not complete. So, you know, you count it as you will, but at this point I'm going to count each sock as a celebration. And I have started the second sock. So in her tutorial, she says she does 30 rows of cuff. I did 20. So I believe I am at 15 rows of cuff here. So I'm nearly done with the cuff. And then I will begin making the leg portion of the sock. And then, so you do the cuff, leg, it's a cuff down. Then the leg portion, then you do the heel flap, turn, then you come back and you do the rest of the foot, and then you do the toe. So I was incorrect. You do a certain toe decrease to a point, and then you continue the toe decrease, and then you do the Kitchener stitch when you have, I don't remember if it was 6 or 8 stitches left on each needle. Well, I guess I could count, huh? Looks like 6. So, but the edges of the Kitchener stitch always look a little wonky to me, so I don't know. 6 or 8. Anyway, watch your tutorial. It's wonderful. It's fabulous. And here you go. Yeah, that's basically how you do the sock. That's what I'll be doing here. Her tutorial, the other change I made is she does her calf leg portion here for 60 rounds, 60. I don't like tall socks. I've got big calves. So, but I also didn't want my first sock to just be an ankle sock. So I did 30, and I thought that would kind of be a mid-calf kind of crew-ish length sock, and it is what I have. So I guess I met that goal, is what I'm trying to say. Words are hard. So anyway, this is progressing, and I am so very excited for my sock journey. And so I'm going to do this sock, and then I'm going to switch tutorials, and I'm going to follow Queen Crafts by Bridget. She has a sock tutorial on her YouTube channel. That will be my second pair of socks. And yeah, I look forward to starting that one in the next coming weeks. I mean, I'm not going to set a deadline on socks or anything. That's just a me project. There's no timeline. So the other goal I met this week was Sophie. Sophie's in the doghouse with me, I'll be honest. So I started part 7. My goal was to do the first half of part 7 this week. I spent if you watched my Fridays with Fred, you might know, I spent far longer on Sophie than I should have. My normal rule is I work on Sophie on Sundays, and then on Mondays I do my Fred sweater, the beginning cardigan I'm doing for Brian, and then on Tuesdays I do my Twists and Turns, and then on Wednesdays I come back to Sophie, then Thursdays I work on Fred, and Fridays I work on Twists and Turns, and then on Saturday I normally pick up Fred again, but then I wait till Sunday to come along and I start on Sophie again. But she was angering me, and so I threw the days out the window and focused on her because I was just so frustrated and I wanted to get it done. Because the rows shouldn't have been hard, but for some reason I kept miscounting and have to rip it out, and it was no good. She made me mad. But I got there. I got the first half, and I cannot explain why I found the counting so difficult. It was the, I don't remember what actual row number it is, but it was the 3rd and 4th rows or rounds of part 7 that were giving me fits. And if you read them, I don't feel like it should have been giving me fits, but it did. And here she is. So I realized I had been neglecting my purple and blue, so I worked that in, and then the dove gray. And this round, part 7, has 8 rows in it. And so I did the first 4. For the next coming week, I will work on the next 4 rows and hopefully complete part 7. But this time, she is going just on her days and not impinging on any other project. So Mama G, I did want to show you, I too have that flap you were talking about. And then you're going to create this leaf here. So Ginny, watch the tutorial when it comes to this leaf. I don't know what row it is. It's in part 6. It's like labeled leaf or something. You'll see it. Watch the tutorial for this because this gave me some problems. But it's on that row. You're going to get 2 more. And they're going to they're smaller, but they're going to be hanging out back there. So that's what I have. I've got the same one you were talking about, and then you're going to get a couple more up here. So I'm assuming it's normal because I too am not seeing any part of the pattern to work in those. But I am very excited. She might have upset me, but that doesn't mean I'm putting her away. It just, much like Elizabeth Bennet, I rise at every attempt to intimidate me. So you will not defeat me, Mrs. Oh, no, what was it? It was Catherine de Bourgh. Lady Catherine, Lady Sophie shall not defeat me. And then I have 4 other projects to show you. It was spring break this week, so I did not work anything on my car project. We just weren't in the pickup line because he wasn't in school. I did do a couple of rows on my Twists and Turns last night. So it wasn't completely neglected this week, but it was not given the attention I would have liked. But, I mean, a row's a row and we take it. That's what we do. So, progress has been made on my Stephen West Twists and Turns MKAL. And we trudge forward on this one. Although this part 2 has been less trudging and much more enjoyable for me than part 1 was. Keep moving forward. We have my shawl I've been working on. This is the Butterfly Effects shawl using the Etrofil Republic yarn. And here she is. The green has come in and it's very pretty. It is very pretty. Each row is taking longer and longer and eating much more yarn. So this is the current length. It's like width-wise, it is at wingspan. So this is about what I would want it, but I'm not done. So I'm going to just keep going, but I don't have far left on the yarn. So this is what's remaining, and at the rate that it's eating the yarn, it's not going to be much longer on this guy. There's a good chance this is done next week. The other project I have, which is in my Whisk Van Gogh Starry Night tote bag, zipper tote, is my Turbulent Skies shawl from Spring the Fiber Enthusiast. Butterfly Effect shawl is a BagODay tutorial. All the patterns I talk about are linked down below in my description box. For Sophie, the link is to the free blog. I'm just printing up the printer-friendly free section every time I have to do the next part. So it is totally viable. I have completed part 2 of my Turbulent Skies, and I am beginning part 3. I'm actually probably close to halfway done, maybe 2/3 done with part 3. I've started that fun little leaf that's going to happen at the base there. And yeah, this is a very, very fun tutorial. I think I'm showing you the front side. Yep, I think I am. And I quite enjoy making it. I'm using a 3-weight yarn. It is the Hirschner's Pastry Puff Plus. No, it's just called Pastry Plus yarn. It has been discontinued, but it was recently discontinued, so I think you could probably, I mean, maybe it is still available on, I know it's not on Hirschner's website, but Etsy, probably places like that might still have it. I really quite like it. I'm glad I have 3 cakes, and this shawl should take just one of the cakes, which leaves me 2 more to do something wonderful with. Oh, I'm excited. And yeah, this is fun. Which brings me to my final project. This is my new one. This is my new living room project, taking the place of the unicorn blanket. I don't know if you recognize the bag, but this is the Advent yarn I had gotten from Daniel at Paw Ply Yarn Company. And there was a Poor Decisions where I sent Brian to the local yarn shop to find a yarn for me because I had a thought in my head of what I wanted to do, and I just knew I wasn't going to be able, I would have decision paralysis in the store. I was looking, my idea was twofold. First, I wanted to make at least a scarf that, you know, memorialized the entire Advent. And my thought was have a main color, which is what I had Brian pick out, and he picked out this gorgeous, gorgeous Madeline Tosh DK in the color Dust Weaver, and I feel so bad. So Bridget has gifted me so many cake cozies, and I've purchased more from her, and I still caked it up and shoved it in a sandwich bag. I don't know why, Bridget, I'm sorry. I think it's just because I have them, but I haven't necessarily gotten into the habit of using them. But it's this lovely purple leaning gray. As like, so I wanted like a neutral color and then do a row or a couple rows in each Advent color to have them go through the list. And my thought was bookend each end with the full skein. So in the Advent calendar, you got a full skein of yarn and then 24 minis. And so that's the idea I had in my head, and I thought I was going to design it myself. But then I was on Ravelry, and this Lamina cowl and wrap pattern came up. This is a paid pattern. It was $4 to $6, somewhere in there, and it is designed by Amba O'Brien. I don't recall what her Ravelry username was, but if you search Lamina, Lamina, you should bring it up. It is a knit pattern, and how it's designed is, I only have black and white printers, so I'm sorry, but I think you can kind of tell. You basically knit it so it goes a bit on the bias. It's slightly trapezoidal, not trapezoidal. Yes, trapezoidal. And there's a main color that's these little strips in between, and then the wider strips are different colors. So, and if you count it out, it is 26 of these strips, of the small strips, and 25 of the wider strips. So it will be perfect. I can bookend each one with the main color, and each of the little strips is going to be my Advent yarn, and the bigger portions are going to be my Dust Weaver. Is it Dust Weaver? Dust Weaver Madeline Tosh. And so I'm basically flipping the script and having it more base color, and then the little stripes are going to be the accents. And it has been very fun. It's a nice lace pattern repeat, and I wanted to put it on circular needles, but I couldn't find any. It is designed for fingering weight. I am using DK. I just went up needle size. I wanted my US 7s and I couldn't find it, so I went with a US 6, and it is working up beautifully. It's just a little scrunched on this length of needle, but we forge ahead. So here we go. So this is I started it out with the Advent yarn, and this is the Dust Weaver, and you can see some of the lacy holes developing. And what's going to happen here is you are doing some decreases, and then at other points you're doing increases, and that's what's going to create the angle. So you have a slightly trapezoidal work, and it's also going to make this end undulate a little bit. So you have, it's going to be slightly wavy. I don't think you can see it too terribly well in these pictures on the cover, and I don't want to show the other pictures because there's pattern written all around it. So, but you can see the pictures very well on Ravelry, and of course there are many other project pictures of people who have made it, and they all turned out lovely. So yeah, here we are. It is going, and this is really just one day of work, so it's going pretty quickly. I'm impressed and happy with this. So I'm going to shove it back in the bag. And the one problem is those needles are just slightly too tall to have the bag zipper up on it, but that's okay. If I didn't have quite so much yarn shoved in it, I think the needles could tilt and it would be just perfectly fine. And so my plan is to make this to kind of memorialize the entire Advent. And then afterwards, I'm going to break up the yarn, put it into groupings, and make other projects with it. And we'll just see how it ends up. But I will have one project where I can look back and say, that was my Advent. And there we go. So that brings me to the end of the crafty goodness. If that's what you were here to see, thank you for joining. And I will see you around on the YouTube streets and next week for my next weekly roundup. We're going to go into discussing books now. And then after the books, we're going to go through the other items, the calendar and stuff like that. So in books, I had been reading the LVOE poem book from Atticus. I have completed it, and it was great. I liked it a lot. I loved it. So when I got to the end, Brian was like, you know, compare it to the previous ones I bought you. And as I thought about it, the poems are very, very similar to the previous book that he had got me. Something about magic. I know there's a list of his other works in here. Where are you, other works? Put it in the back. The Truth About Magic. There were a lot of poems that felt very similar to me. They were different, but if you've read another poem book by Atticus, it's very, very similar in tone and content, and if you enjoyed it, I think you will enjoy this one. It's very modern poetry. Don't expect rhyming schemes or iambic pentameter or any sort of formal sonnet form or anything like that. It's free form. Many poems are just a sentence. There are a couple longer multi-page poems, but yeah, it's very modern style poetry. And I liked it. And plus it's fun. It's got the kind of shiny holographic letters, and then there's a rainbow. I mean, it's the little things that give you joy in books. And then, once I finished that, I did start book 2 in the King Killer Chronicles, The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I tried to get the bigger form book, and I just couldn't find it. So I went with the smaller one, which means it's just a little harder for me to hold because this was comments on Mel's video from Athalia's Little Hook. She was talking about book bindings and not wanting to wreck them. And Lisa Ladybird had mentioned, you know, she does not break the bindings in her book. And I do not either. And Brian always is like, how does the book not look red at all? Like, it looks fine. I'm like, I don't know. It's just how I do it. but with the way I hold it, I kind of hold it like this to protect the spine. And with a book this thick, that gets a little unwieldy as you get to the center. You know, you kind of try to support it, but that's okay. We will read it, we will protect it, and if the spine gets broken and bent, it's not the end of the world. It just means it looks like I've read a book. I am maybe on the 3rd or 4th chapter. Okay, so I'm on chapter 4, which means I've read the prologue and the first 3 chapters. I am enjoying it. It puts you right back in the story, right where the previous book ended. There isn't a lot of rehashing. I know at Needles at the Ready, the guys often complain that in a series, an author will spend so much time rehashing the previous books that it gets boring. You're like, come on, come on. There's just a couple of like paragraphs that reintroduces who Quoth is and kind of what the story is going and what happened at the end of the last book. And then you just hop right back in. I like it. It's fun. I am enjoying it. I think I will continue to enjoy it. Anyway, that's where I am in books. Let's talk my Crojo Corner Crochet Planner. So you might have remembered last week I realized I had not actually written down March goals. I have done so. So my monthly goals, in the monthly goals, I am trying to be more, oh, I forgot to write down my fiber. So I'm going to write down fiber here. Basically for fiber, I'm keeping track of the ounces of product I use out of my stash. So anything purchased prior to January 1, 2023. And Queen's Crafts by Bridget is doing the D-Stash 2023 video, and so I report that to her at the end of the month, and I keep track of that in here. So in that, I would consider basically anything I use from my stash. I plan to start sewing again very, very soon, and I've kind of talked to her, and I think she would agree that using the sewing, the fabric back there that I've had for years and years would be part of my stash. But if at the end of the month she's like, no, that doesn't count, I'll take that out for her purposes, but keep it for mine. Anyway, so what I would like to complete in the month of March is my full first set of socks. I'm halfway there. I want to finish the Butterfly Effect shawl, which is the yellow and green one. I need to finish the Turbulent Skies shawl. I need to finish the Luxe Pillow Trio and the Unicorn Blanket. Check! Checky-dee, check, check, check. I do not have the fiber for the month written down, but I did, the pillow forms are new, but the yarn is not, so I've weighed that, and I weighed the, my lavender cardigan, and I do have that to write down, but it's on my phone, and I'm currently filming on my phone, so I can't do that right now. So, my weekly goals. I wanted to start Sophie Part 7. I did, in fact, finish the first half, so check. I wanted to keep working on my Fridays with Fred, which I did, check. I wanted to, I'm checking off the wrong list. Oh, dear. Okay, squiggle, 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 squiggle. I already wrote down my goals for next week, so I could just read them off. Okay, so I'm coming over here. Sophie Part 7, check. Fridays with Fred, check. Pillow, I want to do, for last week I had to finish that full pillow, which I did, check. I wanted to keep working on my socks, I did. I want to keep working on my Butterfly Effect shawl, check. I wanted to work on the Unicorn Blankety, checkity, check, check. That got finished. I wanted to work on my car project. Why I would have written that down, I don't know, because I knew he was on spring break. So I guess that's a blanker. I didn't do it. And then I wanted to work on my twists and turns. I did a few rows, and a few rows is progress, so we count it. So for next week, I would like to complete Sophie Part 7. I want to keep working on my Fridays with Fred. I need to finish my next pillow front, which is why I knew I was reading the wrong list when I got to the third item. I want to continue to work on my socks. I need to work on my butterfly effect shawl. I need to work on my car project, which since he's back in school, that will be hit. Twists and Turns MKAL. Continue to work on my Lamina Wrap. And to continue to work on my Turbulent Skies. I hope to do, I'm going to add this now, a sewing tutorial on my tote bag. I need to make a couple of tote bags and things because I had promised them as part of the Podiversary winnings. So I need to make good on that promise, and I shall. The week to come, we have, where's March? There she is. Okay, tomorrow, Sunday, I got my Easter box from Angela at my Precious Yarnery, so I will be opening that and showing off all its goodies. So spoiler alert, there is coffee crisp in there, and there were some little eggs, and they are delicious, and they are gone. They were so delicious. There was 4 of them. I gave one to Brian to try, and I may have indulged in the rest myself. On Monday, I will be doing that aforementioned Podiversary drawing. So 2 weeks ago on Monday, March 6th, which was my actual anniversary of my very first video uploaded, there is a giveaway video. If you have not entered, please go back, check that out, and enter away. I'll be drawing the winner on Monday. Then on Tuesday, I got some surprise happy mail, and I will be opening it, and I guess I'll do a little spoiler on that. Heather, thank you. Thank you so much. You caught me at my own game because I love sending surprise happy mail and not letting people know it's en route, and she did it to me. And thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, if you want to see what Heather did send me, tune in on Tuesday. A lot of people have been mentioning my Black Friday openings. Like, how can you not open those boxes? For some reason, the Black Friday yarn, I can be patient with and be like, we will get to it when we get to it. Like, I know in most of those I bought things to give away, so I need to be ready to do the giveaways and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. But if it's like Angela's box or the Happy Mail, I cannot wait. I have to see what's in it. So I've already opened the Happy Mail and filmed it. It's going to be uploaded on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to look at another Black Friday opening. And I know I said there were going to be 2 boxes remaining. As I was cleaning and like reorganizing for the Podiversary, I found a Lion Brand box that I had completely forgotten about. So there are 3. There are 3 remaining Black Friday purchases. And we'll open them, we'll find out what's in there. I don't know. I know they must have been good deals, and I know I wanted them at some point. So we'll go. So then Thursday will be Things We're Making Thursday. Friday will be Fridays with Fred and another Poor Decisions with Brian. And then Saturday will bring us back to our next weekly roundup. And there will be no more peeps on Poor Decisions. I am still shocked at how the hot tamale peeps could not have been good. How can you not do cinnamon? I'm looking over there because they're still right here. And yeah, these hot tamale peeps. I don't understand how they could have been so icky. And I had no idea there were chocolate pudding peeps. And apparently they're the good ones. Everybody likes it. And then somebody else in the comments mentioned that there is a Pepsi flavored peep. I am less sad I didn't see that available up here, but still, I would have gotten it and we would have tried it along with the Dr. Pepper one. I would have gotten that had I seen it, but okay. I will see you later. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. And remember, when we hit 1,500 subscribers, we're going to have another milestone giveaway. So please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. We will get there. And also remember the Krafting Kitty Creator Spotlight and get me those entries. I plan on going through today, this weekend, and updating my list and getting all of that redone. Hey, I'll see you later. Bye-bye. I've been blabbering too long.